Alright, welcome to part 8 of my Death Stranding commentary series. Now, part 8 picks up right where we left off, where we were in a room with Fragile, like where did Sam go? And this is where Sam went. Now, I don't remember if I inserted this music for this sequence, or if this sequence just had the music. Basically, because this in the last episode didn't have a musical montage, I ended up playing around with the original soundtrack music to have like kind of background music playing during these sequences. And I know that I can talk about specifically where I remember where I inserted music, but I don't remember if I inserted music for this beginning part. So fundamentally, Amelie is an extinction entity. She has something to do with Death Stranding, but we're not quite 100% certain at this point. We know that Higgs is manipulating her, or maybe she's manipulating Higgs. And Higgs is basically a full-blown nihilist. Now, nihilism is like a philosophic ideology, and the main problem with nihilism is that if you take it to its ultimate conclusion, it's always suicidal. So really Higgs is a classical nihilist, but he's just taking it all the way. Most nihilists don't actually kill themselves, but Higgs is like a purist. He's a nihilist in the purest form.
Those of us with dooms, her, we're all bound here for a reason. We are all of us a part of the Death Strand.
So we're about to have a boss fight. We're about to have the most overt HUD in the game, but that's a few minutes from now.
There's no repatriation here, no.
I do know that when he starts fighting Higgs, at the beginning of this fight scene, that music was inserted by me. Like, normally there isn't music that's playing over the fight. And then also, I mean, there's music playing during the Street Fighter part of the fight, which is like the last half of the fight. But you're going to hear music before that, that's what I inserted into it, and then you're going to hear music when Higgs is talking to Sam after the fight, and that was also music inserted. You're going to hear music show up when Fragile is here, and that music was inserted. This is basically a really quiet sequence, and I'm really surprised that Kojima didn't add music throughout the entire sequence, personally. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, so this song with the violins playing was inserted, but normally this would just be quiet. And this song kicks in the actual game during the Street Fighter sequence. The Street Fighter sequence is when there's health bars, which that's coming in a few minutes. But I thought that the sequence was too quiet, and the music also helps the quick cuts, or the jump cuts, I should say. Plus, I like this music. I like this kind of melancholy violin music. I really like that edit, by the way. The edit where he throws him down and kicks him, and then he like teleports away. That's pretty good. Yeah, man, those whales floating in the background.
You just got no place for us. You tell me all you want, but the Death Stranding's
I was really worried here when I was filming this, and I was like, oh, thank God he teleported and didn't just shoot me. I was like, oh, I just ruined this entire shot when I did that, and then he didn't shoot me, so I was like, okay, this shot can stay. Yeah, so all this music wouldn't normally be here for this cutscene, which to me is crazy, because it feels like it belongs, right?
I can beat you. I can beat you.
Yeah, I feel like without the music, it's just so quiet. I can't believe there's no music in this sequence originally. The reason why he always only got kicked once, you could kick him 3 times, but the reason why I only had him get kicked once is that whenever it would reset for the second or third kick, it looked a little wonky. And that's why it's always individual kicks when he throws him down. Okay, so this musical cue is Kojima's. So when you hear the song playing right here, that was actually in the game. But everything before that, there was 0 music, and to me it was just too quiet.
We got doomed, Sam. This was only ever
And this is the most, prepare to see the most overt HUD in the game. So when I've been talking for all these episodes about, oh, I edited around the HUD, this was the one time I could not edit around the HUD. But what I could do was, I did have control of the camera, and so I gave the camera, this is why I call it the Street Fighter sequence, because I basically made it left to right, even though you could shoot it over the shoulder. I filmed this more than once though to play around with the camera. But I liked the background of the, like the bloom effect from the sun. So I tried to keep the bloom effect in, and I think here we're going to have like a nice smooth 360 transition. I mean, this came out as good as it could come out. I'm not that bummed out about there being a HUD, but it shows how the game worked against me. This is the best example of the game working against me, actually. Because I spent, like, a long time thinking about how to get rid of the HUD. And in hindsight, there was no way to do it. You would have had to treat it like an actual special effect. You would have needed to get, like, a CG team to get rid of the HUD and then replace it with what should be there. And yeah, that was just not, that was not the thing I was willing to do. But with the exception of these close-up shots, all the other camera work is mine, and I do think it came out really nicely. Like, this camera work is mine. This, like, smooth 180 turn that it's making. But yeah, so this is the only HUD in my entire Death Stranding series. That's not true, there's a couple little specks of it here and there, but this is the most overt HUD in my entire series. And it was so close to being perfect, so close. When I started this project, I was like, I'm gonna have no HUD, and then I got to this sequence, and I was like, man, there's no way around this. This music also wouldn't normally be here. It would normally be quiet, and I kept this music here. I listened to a lot of the soundtrack to decide what to insert, you know, choices. But I like this, like, kind of choral singing that happens when Higgs is talking.
Touchy-feely there, mister. Often phasmophobia. Oh, congratulations. You won the game. Too bad you didn't stop shit.
Yeah, it's crazy for me to watch this because I feel like, man, that music just belongs. Like, I can't believe that music isn't in the game. I mean, it is in the game, but just not in this sequence. It blows my mind. I feel like no one would know that. If you watch this, you would assume this is how the cutscene plays out. Also, this musical cue is perfect, right? This music also isn't in the game if you were to play this scene.
Fragile.
Guess I left a lasting impression. I'm fragile, but I'm not that fragile.
Yeah, I feel like that goes really nicely too. Imagine this sequence with no music, and that's what you would get in the real game when you play it, which to me is... I'm gonna shut up about it now, but I'm just... Because I didn't have any musical montages in this episode, I really played around with the music and musical cues, and it definitely kept me busy, but I do feel like, man, it just elevated, like, this entire sequence. It just elevated the entire sequence, personally.
Jimmy, come
You're already broken.
This music also wouldn't be here. I added this.
Fuck. I'm Higgs. I'm the particle of God that permeates all existence. What are you? Honey, you ain't nothing but damaged goods.
You are damaged goods.
I spent a long time on that piano. You know that piano where it comes in? I spent a long time being like, where should that piano come in? Should it come in before she punches him, after, during, you know, just that right little moment, and I feel like, man, that came out perfect. But yeah, I just thought the sequence was... I didn't think this was a terrible sequence, but I just thought it was awkward the way it had no music throughout all of that stuff. And I thought, let's just put some music in there. I had like 3 hours of original soundtrack to play with. Now this music is not mine. I did not add this music. So this music, this piano you're hearing here was from the actual game. So during this entire sequence, you would have had a blip of music during the Street Fighter section. And you would have had a blip of music here, but all that other stuff would have just been dialogue and wind. There would have been no music to help carry it.
I brought you a metaphor. Take it with you. Tell the lie first with Porter syndrome, what happens when you hide behind the mask.
You know, the first time I played this game, I did not like the way Sam, the character, handled this, personally.
One more thing.
Which is coming up in like a minute.
Your little one managed to bring it here by picturing it as equipment. You mind? Babysitting sucks.
Sam's like, I told you not to bring that. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't say that. But he did tell her not to bring it.
So where should I send you? Back east?
He doesn't need your help. He's got the chiral network. And he's got me. We can jump east together.
Yeah, women hate women.
Lucky him.
We appreciate everything you've done for us.
Yeah, these two chicks are not rooting for each other's happiness. At all.
Besides, I'm sure they need you back at Fragile Express.
Yeah. Better to scoop up all the pieces and put them back together. Wouldn't want to settle for anything less than perfection.
Yeah, that's brutal. She basically feels rejected. She's like, oh, Sam's leaving me for this chick because, you know, she's got like the old lady body. Fragile has the old lady body underneath that, like, catsuit.
Come on. Let's go. We still have work to do.
Meanwhile, Amelie has the I need to eat way too many sandwiches to catch up body.
Do you still believe in me?
No.
Even without Higgs, I am a walking time bomb.
Sorry, I'm speaking for
I can
Sam
do
now.
it just like
I would not trust Amelie at this point. I'm like, well, I just fought you as like a Godzilla monster. Something about extinction entity. Were you or were you not working with Higgs? I have so many questions. Are you my sister? Are you real? Are you a human? What is going on?
What?
Tell me the truth. Was this all for you or all for Bridget?
This is for our country. For our future, that is the truth. There's something that you need to know, Sam. When you were back east, I slipped out of here and I went to visit you.
What? You lied? Fuck me. You have any idea what it took for me to get here?
You wouldn't have come if I hadn't. You didn't care about America or bridges. But we did know one thing you did care about. Something you were willing to cross a continent for.
Yeah, so she's literally admitting to lying to him. She's now admitting that she's been lying to him this entire time. Which is not a comfortable place to be.
Mario and your Princess Peach. Oh, you're right. I never gave a shit about this country. I have no ties to anything or anyone but you.
I'm so sorry, Sam. But it all worked out in the end.
The end's not over. Higgs is over.
Guess that's
He's gone.
I know you have questions, but can you save them? For after?
Sure.
Let's go.
Man, I cannot wait. You guys have no idea what's coming.
Jump
Like,
fragile.
the juicy stuff, man.
The beach goes the whole way. We run.
The juicy stuff is coming. We still have another cliff sequence in Vietnam. We have the conclusion. We have some cool stuff coming. Like, we are now totally in the third act. And we have the real conflict is coming. You thought the real conflict was Death Stranding? You thought the real conflict was Higgs? Nah. Nah. This is the infamous running down the beach sequence, which I cut in half. I cut out all of Sam's close-ups. So, Sam has like a really derp face during that slow-motion beach running sequence, and I just edited out his derp face. I was like, nah. And so because I edited the sequence short, I had the leftover music as though the scene kept going, and so that helped carry this. Because normally there wouldn't be music here, but I had like the leftover music from like the slow motion scene that I just cut short, so I was able to spill that over into this, which helped. You can fix rough edits with music or sound effects.
So you finally invited me to the beach. Remember this. It's the same gun. And now I'm using it to make things right.
Yeah, literally you as the audience and Sam are like, what is Die Hardman doing here with Bridget? Like, what is going on?
Okay, then. Get on with it.
Which, this is gonna make sense, I want to say. I don't know what episode this part makes sense. This part does make sense and get explained. You know what's cool about this episode? This episode flies by. I'm like, oh, this episode's actually almost over. This episode only has like 5-6 minutes left. And I feel like, yeah, this episode flies by. It's a good episode. I want to say that episode 9 starts with the musical montage, but I'm a little rusty on that. Episode 9 has a musical montage, and I think sort of your last encounter with Cliff. This guy right here is Cliff. Mads Mikkelsen is Cliff. But I feel like this is, story-wise, I'll explain what's going on with Mads Mikkelsen in episode 10, but this is the first time that Mads Mikkelsen is kind of getting his humanity back.
Yes.
Because he's in limbo. He's between death, heaven, and hell. But I don't really want to spoil that. We're getting there. But like all of the stuff with Mads Mikkelsen will be explained. But what you do learn in the audience is that obviously this character of Cliff and Die Hardman, who's one of the guys that sent you, they have a past. You don't know what that past is, but Die Hardman, the black guy, is apologizing to Cliff. And you know that there's some sort of heavy past. You don't know what that is yet. You will find out by episode 10. Maybe even episode 9. Maybe even this episode, actually. Well, this episode you find out more about Cliff, but I mean, you'll see.
Give me back my BB.
You're looking in the wrong place.
Yeah, I like that Amelie just scapegoats it. Or not Amelie, sorry, Bridget. Bridget scapegoats it onto Sam and Amelie.
Emily?
Yeah, this is stressful.
Stay back!
Yeah, that's a good episode. I like how distracting it is. I know this is my camera work. I was really enamored because, you know, every time you go into this, like, Death Stranding mode, you're underwater. But I thought it was weird to look at water while you were underwater. Like, there's something about that I was like, this is bizarre. So I made sure to look out over the water. And then, yeah, same thing. Sweeping camera angle before repatriating. Alright, so I think we're going to get an exposition dump with Deadman about Cliff. I think that's how this episode ends, but I could be mistaken.
It's me. Sorry, didn't mean to startle you.
Where am I?
Back east of the Tar Belt. Your private room. You have Amelie to thank for that.
Where is she?
We don't know.
She didn't head back east?
No, but after she saw to you, she contacted HQ and left us a message.
Saying what?
I'm going to finish what Bridget started. Just that, and then... gone.
Bridget. I saw Bridget on the beach.
Yeah, so at this point in the story, we now realize that Amelie, our sister slash whatever she is kind of going to destroy the entire world. You've learned that, like, you thought the Death Stranding monsters were a problem, but now you're realizing, no, Amelie is going to blow up everything. For some reason you don't quite know, but it doesn't matter. You just know that she's literally going to destroy everything.
That part you believe?
Well, it would explain
So,
why we haven't heard
Amelie is sort of the last villain in Death Stranding, which is something I didn't want to mention earlier, but yeah. Now, we've come to this place full circle now where we're like, well, Higgs is dead. We don't know what to make of Cliff. The Death Stranding we know is caused by Amelie, and for whatever reason Amelie is now trying to end everything.
on the assumption that Higgs was controlling Cliff, but that can't possibly be
Yeah,
correct.
and this is where we're learning that, like, Higgs wasn't really the bad guy. Higgs was a bad guy, but Higgs is not controlling Amelie. Higgs is not controlling Cliff, which is what we were kind of assuming was going on, and we're now realizing, okay, Higgs isn't the real bad guy. So who is? Is it Cliff? Is it Amelie? We know that Amelie is an extinction entity. Like, what are we going to do?
As long as you're over there, she won't be able to send you to the beach. What?
And now that Sam has traveled all the way to the west coast, he's being told that he needs to travel all the way back to the east coast so he can finish this once and for all. Because for whatever reason the chiral network's down, he can't be teleported by Fragile, and Amelie has gone all the way to the east coast. And so now Sam has to physically get back to where he started, which is brutal. Like, it's brutal story-wise, and it's brutal gameplay-wise. So, episode 9 is going to start with a musical montage of Sam basically trekking across the entire country. That is literally going to be the beginning of episode 9. Which, hopefully I see you there.